Hey everybody, it's Charlie from DM Moto, and Kawasaki has recently updated its Versys and Ninja 1000 lines, bumped up the displacement by about 50 cc's, and released this Versys 1100 along with its sportier counterpart, the Ninja 1100. And this is a bike I've been curious about for a long time because I find these sort of sporty touring bikes to be the perfect blend of comfort and excitement on two wheels. My last personal motorcycle was a V-Strom 650, and I kind of went back and forth between getting the 650 or the 1000, ultimately deciding on the 650 because I mostly did single-person riding. I just wanted to put regular gasoline in there and putz along. Insurance costs were going to be less, and I didn't need the extra weight of the 1000. But I also test rode a Versys 650 before I bought my V-Strom, and I appreciated kind of the demeanor and a little bit more sporty aesthetic and experience that it provided, but ultimately I wanted a little bit more of the tractor experience of the Suzuki. But when you step up to this 1100cc, technically I think 1099cc bike, with all of the comfort features and all of the performance of this inline 4, it is a pretty special experience. So I've taken a few rides now on the Versys 1100, but it is time to put it on the DM Commuter fuel economy test. And this is a little interesting because we just tested the Honda NT 1100, which is sort of their sport tour motorcycle. Has 2 fewer cylinders and about 25 fewer horsepower, but still kind of a similar idea and ethos behind the bikes. So for today's test, I'm going to head over here to the gas station. We're going to fill this thing up with 91 octane, go out and do 42 miles, come back, fill it up again, and then not only calculate our fuel used and our fuel economy, but also talk about what this bike is like to ride in a real-world daily rider sort of setting. So I'm going to be kind of emulating maybe a ride into work or something like that, or a ride into school. I'm not going to be going crazy fast. I'm going to be trying to keep it within about 5 miles per hour of the posted speed limits. And we're just going to talk about what it's like to be out on this bike. I'm noticing right now I've already gotten a few scuffs on the side bags here. Hopefully Kawasaki's not too upset about that. Maybe those will buff out. Honestly, it's probably just from having all the bikes in my garage and kind of moving them around. But if you do want to see a full review on the Versys 1100, check the link below. After I have my full time, a few months or so with the bike, I'm going to publish my full riding review. We'll go out and do a little bit of a more extended trip with it. But this is going to be more if you're just using the bike. And it has been a few weeks since I've ridden this bike, so it's not going to be full raw first impressions, but it will be a little bit of a reacclimation with the bike because I've been spending time on that Honda NT as well as the BMW R1300 RT. Another fantastic motorcycle. So we've got our tire pressure set, 36 front, 42 rear, which admittedly is a little bit high. I think if I were only riding this bike by myself, not much gear, I would drop the rear down to 36 as well. But that's what it says on the placard for 42, so we're going to run it on that for the sake of science. We are keeping the optional SE side bags on here, side cases. And yes, this is the SE model, so we've got all the bells and whistles and goodies, full new electronic suite for 2025, giving us lean sensitive ABS and traction control and IMUs and doodads, quick shifter. This is a remarkably full-fledged motorcycle for under $20,000. Which some of you might say, $20,000 for a Kawasaki, what? But Kawasaki has been killing it lately with their kind of combination of fun and functional. I really like the blend that they hit with a lot of their bikes. Topped the tank off with just over 4 gallons. We've got a 5.5 gallon fuel tank in here, so good amount of range. And we've got our gauge cluster in kind of a sport ride mode right now, but we can still reset our trip meter. There we go, easy enough. Let's get to an MPG screen here. Might have to leave the sport gauge cluster to do that. I gotta remind myself how to use this system. There we are. Now we have all of our stats. Let's get those all reset here. There we are. Okay, I think we are ready to ride. Now we do have a few different ride modes here on the Versys 1100. I'll have to cycle through them in a moment. Outside temperature today, we're looking at 69 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it should stay pretty close to that throughout the ride. Beautiful December day here in Southern California. This is why we moved here, is for days like this, 2 weeks before Christmas. So ride modes, we've got road and sport, and no more sport, thank you for that, Kawasaki. No need for sport and sport plus, road, rain, and then rider, which is a fully customizable mode. We're gonna do this test in road. Maybe we'll switch into sport for our sporty riding section, but other than that, I kind of like the simplicity there. We were just on the NT 1100, and some of you are going to come in the comments and go, oh, you just read the owner's manual, you know exactly how the ride modes work. Yeah, but, okay, we got tour and urban, and then what was the other one? I think rain. So tour, urban, and rain. How are you supposed to know that urban is less sporty than tour, and then the different dials are kind of in reverse for power and engine braking and everything? It's way too complicated, Honda. Keep it simple like this. Road, sport, very straightforward. Rain, again, straightforward. And then you can customize it. The quick shifter seems to be working fantastic. That was a quick shift right through first and second, which means I'm not using the clutch. Just blipping the shifter. Oh my gosh. Now, it's interesting. I had the Kawasaki Z900, and I didn't exactly love having an inline 4 in that bike. I kind of wished it had more of a 2 or a 3-cylinder solution that had a little bit more punch and a little bit more grunt. However, this motor, probably because it's just so much more powerful, I mean, we've got 85 pound-feet of torque max, maybe it's about 83 and a half, but I'd like to see the torque curve because I bet you it comes on pretty darn low. The fact that we have all of that power ready to go so broadly throughout the power band, I'm not disappointed that this is an inline 4. Even right here in 6th gear, I mean, we're doing just under 4,000 RPM going uphill, and I have a lot of power on tap right there. No feeling of needing to downshift in order to get up and out of the bike's way. The Z900, despite being lighter, still felt a little dull when you were at those lower revs. In fact, there's so much torque, you can let it out in second pretty easily from a pretty low speed, and the bike doesn't protest at all. Let's see, what all do we have in front of us? We've got our Odo, Trip A, Trip B, lean angle, kind of an active lean angle readout, and then a max lean. That's all there. And then on the bottom we've got range, average speed, total time, battery voltage. Is that a live readout for fuel economy? Must be, yeah, it's a very, very laggy live readout. Okay, and then we have an average fuel economy. Well, the temperature's dropped quite a bit, 63 degrees Fahrenheit now. It'll get a little colder as we get toward the coast. And then over on the far right, you see a little image of a man. And, or, well, I would say or woman, but I don't see the little dress flaring out. So it is pretty clearly a stick figure man. And that is because it is indicating that the electronically adjustable suspension is set for simply one rider without gear. You can do it on the fly. That's a preload button, so that's one person, 2 people in gear, 1 person in gear, and then just 1 person. Okay, so there isn't a 2 people no gear option. But it's pretty cool. You can actually see the suspension and the bike moving up and down as you adjust that. We do have an adjustable windscreen. Now, unfortunately, compared to the Honda, you can't just pop off one side and yank it up and down. You actually have to unscrew both sides and adjust it, so it's not really something you can do on the fly. I think I have it in the furthest up position right now, so we'll probably leave that for most of the ride. We do have heated hand grips. I do need to read the manual on exactly how those work. I've gotten them to turn on and off, but I don't know if there are different levels you can choose from. So that's something that I will have to know before the full review. also have a little eco indicator right here, ECO, in a triangle formation, and that just tells you that you are riding economically for the speed that you are going, which gear you're in, etc. My Ninja 650 had that, and I always thought it was kind of annoying. I get it a little bit more on this bike, but oh, whatever. I will say, because of the smoothness of the inline 4 and the comfort and ergonomics and suspension, this bike is always going to be begging you to go a little bit faster than you should be. It's just kind of the nature of it, and I kind of like that. I mean, I have a degree of self-discipline, but I kind of appreciate that the motorcycle that's as capable as it is excited to ride. It's not just like, yeah, I could do it, but I don't feel like it. No, this bike, Rolls Royce, this bike is raring and ready to go. But it's not uncomfortably so. It's not champing at the bit. It's not fighting me, and I'm not fighting it. It's just saying, hey, you know, you could go a little bit faster. Wouldn't that be fun? And then you're sitting here as a rider going, yeah, you know, that would be kind of fun. And the bike's like, yeah, just do it. Just, you know, 5 over, 7 over. Who's gonna know? Who's gonna care? And then all of a sudden that creeps up to 10 over, and then 15 over. So you do have to have some discipline. And right there, all of that downshifting was done with no clutch. Again, using the quick shifter. Not quite as smooth as the upshifts, but still very usable. Tight traffic situation here. We do have a slipper and assist clutch, so it's particularly light despite this being a larger 4-cylinder engine. Very easy to grab, and we do have adjustable clutch and brake levers, as you would expect at this price point. Nice upright seating position as well. Something I like about these sort of ADV kind of touring style bikes is I'm looking right into the windows and the doors and the windshields of all the bigger cars around me. I mean, that's a truck and a Hummer right there, and we're about the same height. Very nice if you're using this as a commuter to be able to see in and around people. Standing up, you can comfortably do. I'm 5'10", 32-inch inseam. My arms fully extended, but grabbing the bars, rubber pegs, fairly decent balance on. Stretch yourself out a little bit, settle back down. Did you know that's actually illegal to do in Canada? Stand while riding a motorcycle. Very silly law. Beautiful day out here on PCH. Not a cloud in the sky. 63 degrees. Inline 4 underneath our butt. Life is good. Even the water is pretty calm. Look at that. Small waves. It's like a few people in the water. Tighter city environment now. Again, appreciating that lighter clutch, upright seating. It is a taller bike. I don't have the exact figure in front of me here, but just know that it's going to feel a little more cumbersome than something a little lower and lighter. 578 pounds wet and ready to ride, but that is without the side cases, so we're probably getting up just a hair under 600 with those. It's a bit heavier than I'd like as well. I think the NT was down closer to 530, 540, but that also might have been... No, that probably includes the side cases, because that doesn't have a special package. 3rd Street Hill test. Probably loop this thing right over if I tried. But of course we've got Kawasaki's traction stability control, so wheelies should be mitigated. Coming up to our spirited riding section, we'll put it up into sport mode, liven everything up a little bit. I love the intake sound on this bike. That's what you get an inline 4 for right there. Man, that sounds good. Oh, and then being able to get right up on the handlebars here. Again, that lean sensitive ABS and traction control, so if I were to have to mash some brake right here, it would consider the fact that I'm leaning and would not apply brakes and ABS in the same way it would if I were upright. That's cool. I love that. Wrapped up with the more city riding portion of the test. Again, despite being a little bit of a taller, heavier bike, if you're a shorter rider, that aside, this is such an easy bike to ride around a slower speed, kind of in-town environments. The seat's comfortable, the ergos are good, clutch is easy to work, the quick shifter works great even at lower speeds, lower revs. Yeah, I was pretty happy, and I knew it was good because by the time I was getting up here to more of the higher speed roads, I was thinking about other things. I wasn't thinking about the bike anymore, which means the bike is so it works so well that it's a non-issue. It's not kind of in the forefront of my mind. But this is a little bit more suburban, 55-mile-an-hour roads, and leading up to the highway. The wind, it's middle of the road. I mean, you do have these nice hand guards here that keep your hands covered from the wind. I've appreciated that. Kind of allows you to get away with a thinner glove, especially coupled with the hand warmers. And the windscreen, like I said, is adjustable, but not on the fly, so you got to kind of set it when you're stopped. Not the end of the world. But you definitely don't have the wind protection of a touring motorcycle that's kind of giving you little wings to funnel air away from you. But I actually rode this bike on a ride in the rain down to about 44 degrees Fahrenheit. And I wasn't in anything crazy. I was just in, I think it was these insulated jeans and a little bit of a thicker jacket. And I was cold, but I wasn't unbearable. So the bike does a pretty good job at funneling wind off you. It's just kind of up here and around the outsides of the windshield. I bet you if you added some of those kind of like clear wind deflectors there, although the plastic does have a degree of deflection to it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you get wind just in and around here, but it's not bad. It feels very fitting for more of a sporty bike. Coming up to the highway section, up and on the 5 freeway. Hopefully the audio will come through well enough. You all can hear me just fine. This bike should be no problem on the freeway. No sort of fancy gimmicks, but we do have cruise control. Definitely happy for that. Settling in right around 70 miles per hour. Again, love the visibility, love the seating position, and using, or rather having that inline 4 pretty smooth. Sitting about, let's get back down to 70, just above 4,000 RPM, looks like about 4,500 RPM, around 70 miles per hour. Minimal, a little bit of vibration in the brake levers, but really nothing bad. Cruise control engaged. No actual speed readout to say what you have your speed set at. It just says set, and then I guess whatever speed you're going is the speed that you're set at. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised we have sort of a vibration, like a buzz from this engine. I would expect it to be absolutely butter smooth at this speed. Interesting. Wind protection again though, pretty good. I think that's hitting me upper helmet. So if I were right here, quite a bit louder, quite a little bit more turbulent air, but with the windshield fully up, it seems to be blocking air better than the NT1100 did with its windshield all the way up. Yeah, perfectly fine bike here on the highway. No big surprises one way or another. I'd be very happy to eat up big miles on this bike. And you do have Bluetooth built into the screen here if you want to be able to use that for controlling media. I just use a Cardo headset, but you can pair your headset up to the bike and your phone and kind of see what song is playing, etc. Fuel economy did tick up on the highway, but it is a little bit lower than the last two bikes we tested. I think that really mostly speaks as a testament to the BMW, the R1300, and that big Boxer twin kitten. I think it was about 46 MPG on our test. This one coming in at 41 so far, but I'm gonna get it back to the pump, top it off again, and crunch our final numbers. But so far, I love this bike. I really do. It speaks so well to the way that I like to ride and to why I have motorcycles. I love being able to come away from a light like that, get on the accelerator and feel and hear and be whooshed away like that with a unique experience that you pretty much only get on two wheels. But then I like to click up through the gears and ride along in comfort. I like to be warm, and I like to have cruise control when I'm on the highway, and I like to have a good suspension if I throw my wife on the back of the bike. It's kind of a cool proof that you don't have to be boring to get a bike that is practical. I mean, this bike's incredibly practical. I've got storage, I've got protection, all sorts of good, usable daily aspects, but still a thrill factor, and that's what was missing on the Honda for me. Back here and all fueled up with the Versys 1100, we ended up putting in a total of 0.922 gallons back into the 5.5 gallon tank. So after 42.9 miles traveled divided by that 0.922, okay, actually quite a bit higher than the bike's readout and getting us right closer to what the other sport touring bikes have done. I'm going to do a slight mathematical round down here from 42.5 and go to, 46.5, and giving this a total of 46 miles per gallon here on our DM Commuter fuel economy test with the Versys 1100. I'm happy to see that, and it's not the most scientific test in the world, but you gotta admit, getting well over 40 miles per gallon on a bike that can carry so much gear and people comfortably and go so fast, pretty darn cool. Now you do have to put 91 octane in this bike as opposed to something like the Honda NT1100 where you can get away with 87 according to the owner's manual, but I mean, small price to pay here in California. However, if you're somewhere like out in the Midwest where they charge almost a dollar per gallon more for premium, that might be something to consider if you're planning on riding this bike daily. You've got a 5.5 gallon fuel tank in here, so 5.5 gallons times at 46 miles per gallon is getting you a healthy 250 miles of daily riding range here on the Versys 1100. So I'm really happy with the bike. I enjoy riding it. I can't wait to do some more trips with it because, like I said, I've done a few multi-hour rides so far and I've been really happy with the bike. I also really want to try the Ninja 1100. I've always been curious about the Ninja 1000. So now that they bumped it up to 1100, giving it a few more goodies as well, and the price is quite a bit lower than the Versys, definitely want to try that bike out. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see our other DM Commuter tests, check the link below. We've got that NT1100 and the R1300 RT recently. We also have the Kawasaki Z900, the SE model that we did not too long ago. And then stay tuned for our full review on this bike, as well as a little bit of a sport touring comparo. We go out and take this and the Honda on a little bit of a ride. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from DM Moto, and as always, ride on.